Jumping jacks, tax, got my taxes jumping. Now my bag coming with that major money. Dripping blessings, just might buy a house for my mama. Bad credit, don't even sweat it. Cause they'll repair it, ain't no question. They can do it, it's a major movement.
What's up, y'all? You're officially listening to $1 Million Life Lessons. I'm your host, Prince Donnell. And of course, I'm here, my right-hand man, the man with the cam.
Ron Vann Dam.
And we're here to drop some $1 Million Life Lessons. We drop $1 Million gems each episode, and it's your job to pick them up. Of course, before I start, I always like to say, please share this on your Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok if you have it. Let's get the podcast out there. Please share it. That's all that we ask in return for dropping all of these gems and free information. So please do that if you could. And if you really love the podcast and it's really changed your life, all that I ask you to do is go to the podcast. Please leave a review on our podcast. You can do that through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever you're listening it through. Just go quickly leave a review. Be very thoughtful with it so that others can go ahead and stream our podcast as well. With that said, let's get into it. I do want to do a quick plug. Of course, as y'all know, it is tax season. And with that, that means that obviously you got to file. There's a lot going on around the stimulus check. And, Joe Biden was just sworn in as president. So we don't know all of the changes that are going to come that way. So, of course, you need help with filing your taxes. With that said, Jumping Jack Tax, we are a Black-owned tax franchise. And we've developed our own mobile application where you can find virtual Black and brown financial professionals that you can do business with that can do your taxes virtually. So with that said, download the Jumping Jack Tax app, find your virtual tax professional, your Jack Pro, and allow them to walk you through the process of getting your taxes done. So with that, now that that's out the way, let's go ahead and get it rolling. What's up, man?
Yeah, so this podcast episode is going to be about the new news. You know, Don's been dropping a lot of stuff, and recently he just dropped a son.
I didn't drop the son. My wife dropped the son.
Together,
I was just there for support.
Together, you guys have dropped the son. So this whole episode is going to be for new fathers, for people who've been fathers, or people who plan on starting a family, so you can kind of get the perspective of me. I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's about to be 13. I got to stop saying that in front of her. And also a 5-month son. And Don has his son now, which is 1 week.
1 week and a day.
1 week and a day. So you kind of get my perspective on it and get his perspective on it. And hopefully this can help you out, to help you prepare, to help you solve some problems you're already going through. And also for you to actually hit us up and let us know what your perspectives is on fatherhood.
For sure, because I'm winging it right now.
Yeah, so I want to start with that moment, and I think that moment that I'm speaking of is the delivery room moment. Say from when I remember, the moment where she starts having contractions. Yeah. Where you're just sitting there, you can't feel it, but she can feel it. But you can see the pain in your wife's face. So let's start there. How did you feel at that moment when you actually started like, yo, this is really happening? Like he's trying to push his way through now. She starts having those contractions. To me, I kind of felt helpless because it wasn't really nothing you could do but sit there and support her and try to give her strength. But knowing that you couldn't take that pain away from her and you couldn't be the one, you know what I mean? If you could just hook up a machine and be like, yo, you know what I mean? Let me take the contraction, you know what I mean? You got to just push the baby out. So how did that make you feel while Dana was in the bed giving her contractions?
That's a great question. So when Dana started having contractions, it was weird because I kind of already knew what to do because it's funny. She was very anxious to know how that felt. Like she was all like, I don't know. I need to know how it feels to have contractions. I need to know how it feels when it's time to push. I don't know if there's going to be pain. So we literally would be sitting in the bed night after night, and she'd be watching all these videos on YouTube and Instagram. And I didn't even know that it could get that graphic where like you could actually watch a woman go through contractions and give birth on Instagram and YouTube. Like you could watch the whole thing. And I've probably watched like 10 of those videos with her. So I already knew like how that process was going to go. So it wasn't like new to me to where it was going to be abrupt. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah.
I think it was cool that I got to see some instances where men, like you said, weren't going through the contraction, but they were there as the support system in a sense. And I was watching this one video where the guy, I think that was her husband, he would, every time she'd be having a contraction, he'd be standing behind her and he would have his hands on her lower back.
Yeah.
And he'd just be breathing with her and say, hey, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And he'd be going through the process with her. And there's really that connection there that helps ease her mind through the process. So for me, I like to call myself, I'm a dummy. So I like to follow the things that work. And I'm like, okay, since I don't really know what to do here, I'm gonna follow what that dude did because it looked like it worked. So when that came, it was like I followed exactly what other men who went through it did. I was with her, made sure my hands were on her back in the right place. I don't even know if it was in the right spot, but and just breathing with her through the process. And it was a beautiful experience. I mean, seeing her in that level of pain for me didn't really affect me too much because I associate pain with the blessing. So obviously, you know, you got to go through it. And I think she's such a strong woman. And I know that she could handle it because I think she can handle anything for that matter. So it was just the most important part was me being there as that support system in like every step of the way, you know, and just making sure she knew that she felt my energy. But yeah, I mean, after she had contractions for a while though, I'll tell you, we probably didn't see like the level 10 because from what I've learned that when you go through contractions, you gotta your cervix has to expand to 10 centimeters dilated, and at that point, you know, the woman is in extreme amounts of pain. But for her, she ended up taking epidural. So I think when we got to the hospital, she was 4 centimeters dilated at that time. So her contractions were strong and like she was in pain indeed, but she didn't like get to like 6, 7, and 8 where I got to see like craziness. I did see it because it's crazy. I was watching the FaceTime as Marlena was going through it. So I did get to see like when you get to 8, 9, like it was crazy. Like she was screaming and everything. I didn't see that part because she ended up getting to the hospital. She was like, I think still 4 centimeters dilated. She's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Give me the epidural, stick that joint right in my back and I'm out of here. So once she took that, she ended up sleeping like a baby, you know, throughout the whole process until it was time to finally push. So I got to get a little bit of an experience from it, but when I did, you know, I think it's important as men that, you know, we make ourselves known through that process and kind of, you know, really be like a high level of support. And it was just us two as well, because of course with COVID, you couldn't have multiple people at the hospital, so it was just me and her, and that's we all we had when going through. So I was making myself known as possible.
Yeah, I would second that. I probably would say the first time where my daughter's mother was actually going through the experience, I was 17, so I wasn't really, I didn't really know what to do. I remember all my friends was there. They was downstairs in the waiting room. I was out with them, downstairs with them. And I got a call like, yo, she about to have a baby. So I went up there. I wasn't even near her, you know what I mean? I kind of let the doctors do things. At 17, yeah. I ain't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you
I don't
nervous
know.
as hell.
Yeah. I ain't what nothing. I did proceed. But with my son, like you said, when she was having contractions, it really helped her to actually sit there. And I told her, like, tell me what's working for you. So she was like, you counting while I breathe, that's working, just timing it, just keep me on track. So I know exactly when the contractions come in and I'm ready. And then obviously she screamed pressure. So how was that for you once that moment of your son, you knew in the next 2 minutes he's about to enter this world?
Here's the craziest part. When she screamed pressure, right? The doctor was, I think he was like, when she screamed pressure, the doctor was a couple doors down and everything. So we like, nurse, come in. So they end up running in, and when they got in, the craziest thing was since she was on the epidural and everything, she couldn't really feel too much. She just felt like the pressure of it, like the baby was on the way.
Yeah.
But the thing was that she was feeling a lot of pressure, but she wasn't 10 centimeters dilated. So what happens is at that point, like the doctor had to keep coming in and was like, I know that you feel pressure and I know that the baby's head is right there, but you can't push because if you push and you're not 10 centimeters dilated, you could tear your cervix.
Yeah.
And if you do, then we're gonna have serious problems here. So like literally for like 2 hours, 3 hours, she literally is feeling mad pressure and the baby's head is right there, but she cannot push him out because she wasn't all the way dilated yet. So now that was the part that kind of got crazy because the epidural couldn't help the actual pressure that was there. That's when she started feeling pain and there was nothing that they could do about it. And every time I just remember the nurse kept coming in every 30 minutes and we would time it because she's like, and she's like literally sitting there like, she's saying to herself and she's like counting down from 10 to 1, like, please don't push, please don't push, please don't push. Because there's nothing you can really do. Like, it's like when it's right there, like you naturally want to.
Yeah.
But she's like literally like focusing in. I'm like with her the entire time, holding her hand like, just don't push yet, please. We're gonna have other problems. So nurse kept coming in every 30 minutes and was like, oh, sorry to tell you, you're still not 10 yet. So, and we like, oh my God. And this went on for like 2 hours, at least 2.5 hours before finally the doctor ended up coming in, Dr. Asaka, and was like, so what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can try to move the cervix up and out because we just going to have to get it up. We're going to have to get it out of here now. So what ended up happening was he ended up moving everything around. And then once that happened, he was like, all right, look, I think it's time to go and let's do it. And it was like everything sped up and it was like 5 minutes in time at that point to where it went from, all right, time to start pushing. And 5 minutes later, my son was here.
Now that's you.
It was a crazy thing. And everybody laughs at me because what happened was, and it was crazy. Normally what the doctor and nurse said was that people could be in labor like pushing for like 2 hours sometimes. And there could be complications and everything. She actually was only pushed for like 5 minutes. Like her breathing was so strong and it was because, of course, she worked out. We work out. So, obviously her breathing and everything, she already focused and learned that and she was able to push and within 5 minutes he was out. And I just remember the entire time. You know how a lot of men say, don't look because it could change your entire outlook? Yeah. I looked. So I remember the doctor was like, hey, look, the baby's head is right here. You want to see it? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Then I was like, you know what? Let me check it out. So I looked over. This was at the time where he was like still in, like his head wasn't out yet. So I had to like look in and like saw his head right there, hair and everything. He was like, he about to come out. And I watched the entire thing all the way through. And all the way down to like, I just remember this one moment where you could see the top of his head and his hair, and it was like right there. And then next thing you know, she pushed one more time, and it went from like the top of his head and his hair to like this whole face that just came out of nowhere, like boom. And I was like, that was an explosion. I don't know how that just came out so fast. And the next thing you know, she pushed one more time, and like literally within 5 minutes, dude was out. And
they call that the ring of fire when the crown is the ring of fire.
Dude was out, and it was a quick experience, and then that's when he just started crying, and interesting enough though, Dana didn't cry at the time. Like I guess it was more of like it was still like a shock at the moment. Yeah. And we both were just sitting there like, damn, we really have a baby. Like if we were thinking about maybe this wasn't gonna work out, can't do that no more. That's it. But it was crazy. So we just sat there and was like, wow, this is really cool. And then from there, she obviously was giving skin to skin contact to the baby. And she was doing that for about a half hour. And then that's when the doctors wanted to evaluate him and give him the weight check and all that. And then from there, that's when we got upstairs and I ended up doing skin-to-skin contact as well. So that's where the picture that everybody was bidding on me because I posted a picture on IG where I had the baby on my chest in the bed, and they was like, "Damn, it looked like you gave birth." Nah, that wasn't actually the case. I'm gonna tell you the crazy part about that picture. First of all, for men who don't know, you probably know this, Van. Hospitals do not give men beds at all. Yeah. So that they do us wrong. They do us real dirty. They give us a little couch that we can utilize, but they don't give us an actual bed or nothing like that. So I'm sitting in a rocking chair the whole time, mad uncomfortable. So what ended up happening was that next morning after he was born, Dana was like, yo, I'm going to go take a shower and everything like that. So I'm like, cool. I'm about to lay right in this bed right now. And I'm about to get me some sleep because I'm tired. And the next thing you know, she was like, yo, you want to hold the baby, do skin to skin? So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, let me wake up. But I at least want to just lay down in the bed for like a good half hour or so. So that's when I'm holding him, whatever. And the entire time, my eyes, it's like, I'm trying to keep my eyes open and everything too at the same time because this is the first time me laying in the bed. But then she ended up coming out of the shower and them taking pictures. And that's how you saw the picture online where I look like I'm asleep with the baby in me, but yo, I needed some, like I was tired. He was born at 4 a.m. and that picture was taken around like 7 or something. So I ain't getting no sleep that entire night all the way through the morning. So that was the funny part about the picture. But they do us men dirty, you know?
So I do want to ask you, the moment that you held actually not even the moment that you held him, it's the moment that you see him, forgot what it's called, the weighing thing where you know they pit them, they weigh it after they clean them, and you're sitting there looking at them. What is to me with both of my kids, I might automatically have like a future thought. It's random. It's just like, yo, I see this kid here. Did you have any thought like that? Like where you just kind of just imagine his future?
Let me be honest with you. I was thinking about other things at the time. The main thing I was thinking about as he was being weighed, true story. As he was being weighed at the time, I couldn't even think about that because I'm already skeptical of doctors and hospitals to begin with. So my mind was already in the process of protection, right? Because for me, as soon as he was born, they immediately started drilling me with, of course, questions at that point, like, hey, you know, so he needs to get all of his shots. He needs to get hepatitis B. He needs to get the hepatitis B. He needs to get vitamin K, and then all these other things, whatever. So, you know, I'm not going to spread my views on vaccines on right now because that's your business if you want to do that or not. If you want to do it or you don't want to do it, whatever. So me, I'm just watching the entire time, right? Because pediatrician is up coming downstairs, and as we were waiting, the pediatrician talking to me and everything, and I rejected the actual hepatitis B vaccine that they wanted to give while he was doing the weigh-in. So then they bring the pediatrician downstairs. Pediatrician's talking to me like, yeah, so you have any questions about hepatitis B? I'm like, no. She said, so you don't have no questions at all as to why you don't want to do it? Nope, none at all. I'm good. It's just personal preference because I'm not about to get back and forth with the argument with a doctor, of course, obviously, because that's what they want you to do. So I'm not going back and forth with you. I just don't want him to take it. So whole time during the weigh-in, I'm talking and enjoying it, but at the same time paying attention.
Yeah.
So then from there, they're like, yo, you got to sign. And funny, if you don't take the actual hepatitis B vaccine, then you actually got to sign waivers stating that you're waiving the fact that he hepatitis B, and if he contracts it, he could die, and all of this other stuff, and all these paperwork, and then they make you sign all this other stuff. So I'm like, yo, I'll sign it and all that, but that's really what happened during the time of that weigh-in. I was talking to the pediatrician and standing there making sure that everything was cool. Just me though, you know, so I didn't really get the time to really think about all of that stuff because I was thinking, I was more of in a protection mode, thinking of other things based upon my personal beliefs. So I didn't really get a chance to do that until we got home and like I was back in my element and in my zone because personally I wanted to leave the hospital right after you know, after birth and all that. I'm like, yo, I'm out. We good. You know, of course, making sure that Dana was okay and that obviously she wasn't bleeding or anything and there wasn't any complications, but he was healthy. He was good. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get out. So we stayed for like a good 24 hours. And then I'm like, yo, it's time to bounce, get up out of here. So when I got home, that's when I kind of was in my element, in my zone. It was quiet. I'm not in like this atmosphere that I don't like. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can really sit here and enjoy the experience. But at the hospital, I couldn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you.
So there's always something, at least for me, in my head when I had my son, there's something that I wanted to do just to say like, yo, the first thing that either I said or I did or you heard was this. Did you have one of those moments?
Yeah. I told him he was a king, like his name actually was, and that he has a long future in front of him, and this is going to be a beautiful experience. And I even said to him, like, yo, I'm going to be going through this whole process with you myself. And I apologize in advance for anything that I don't do. And just know that I'm just going to love you as much as I possibly can. And I was really just speaking life into him at that point and just telling him who he's going to become, like what his birthright actually is at that point. And I think that was just really important. So I'm just talking to him. A lot of it, I don't even remember what I was saying. It was just more so just really speaking birthrights into him and helping him understand who he actually is and the shoes that he has to fill and everything like that. So I just remember walking around my room, just carrying him, and I'm just walking in circles probably for about an hour, just talking to him. And
cheesing.
Yeah. So just talking to him and everything. And it's funny because Dana will tell you that I kiss my son a lot. Like it's funny because I don't really kiss a lot. So it's funny. I probably kiss my son maybe 100 times a day. I swear to God, I can't make this up. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I just literally just like, it's funny. I call it the Kingston Kiss Museum. They laugh at me. Like, I don't even know how I came up with that term, but like I kiss him a whole lot every time that I see him. But he knows, like, every time now I could tell, like, based upon like the way his eyes and his facial expressions, every time I go in and kiss him now, like, he knows it's me. Like, he can feel it because of my beard and everything like that. And that's how I was able to, like, when I created that experience, that's how I was able to, because I know he can't really see right now or hear too well. So I know based upon me creating that repetition of kissing him all the time, now he knows specifically who it is when he's being held and like, oh, this is my dad. Okay.
Is there anything you say to him? Because of what I do, I say the same. I've been saying the same thing to my son since birth. I say, no matter what time of the night. I haven't done that yet. I say good morning, Zoe.
I haven't done that yet. That's interesting. I think I'm gonna start doing that, like saying the same exact thing, so he can recognize that that's you.
Yeah.
You know, even if he can't really see too well or like really comprehend what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I probably would suggest. Like, even like if I'm on FaceTime with him, I don't know if he can really see me or not because I can't see what he see. But when I say good morning, Zoe, he knows like,
like he knows by your voice and everything. Yeah. I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah. Same exact thing. I'm gonna write something out and I'm gonna say the same thing every day. That's great advice. Great advice.
Yep.
Great advice.
I also want to ask you. This is really, really a new experience for new dads. What was the most challenging thing when it came to actually caring for a baby? Because, you know, you got to feed them, you got to burp them, you got to put them to sleep, you got to change them. Which, out of like all those, what you probably say was the most challenging experience for you?
Changing his diaper was the most challenging experience. Feeding him wasn't too hard because it was like, that was a simple process. Like, I hold the baby, feed him and everything. It was changing his diaper because babies are squirmy.
Yeah.
Like, and he's kind of strong. So like he moves his legs so much. So I had to learn how to like grab his feet so that he don't move too much while I'm changing his diaper. But funny, I was on Twitter, right? I was on Twitter one day and a lady said, I said, hey, any advice for new dads that y'all can provide? And there was this piece of advice that this lady gave. She said, always put the second diaper underneath the first. And she said, it's not just because I'm not just referencing the separate second diaper, but the metaphor behind it is always be prepared for anything to happen. And as long as you're ahead of the game, you're always going to be able to care for your child to the best of their abilities. And I was like, damn, like you got that from a second pamper? That was crazy. Like, that was deep, right? But I'm like, whoa. So now I promise you, ever since she gave that advice, every time I change, I change all of his diapers now. Like Dana, because I take a lot of that from Dana, of course, because she's feeding him and different things. So I change all of his diapers now. I'm quick with it now. So we got a little caddy, like with the diapers and all that in there. I can bring it over. I put the second one right underneath the first. Then I take it right off, lift his feet up, white, boom, put the second one on, done. Yeah. I'll be doing it quicker now, like 30 seconds to a minute. I try to get it fast because he'll start crying or squirming and then get his foot in the diaper and everything. He pissed on me like 3 times.
That's good luck.
Crazy. And that's where I had to learn at that point that right before I go ahead and change, I don't know if you probably see, this happened to you, but now I learned that I had to leave his diaper on. So like what I do is I open it up so he can hit the air, and then after I open it up, I put it back. And then I wait like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, he'll start peeing right there. So then after he's done, then I take it all the way off because he'll piss on me each time.
Yeah. What I usually do now, I I blow a little bit so he kind of feel the air because it'll make him squirm. So I'm like, all right, so if he won't pee in the next 10, 15 seconds, then he ain't got to go.
Yeah.
I would say also when it comes to changing the diaper, just taking mine, I was just being the father, being the man, just, you know me, like take care of his Johnson, make sure that joint is, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
because even like with my daughter, when I had my daughter, I don't really know the parts. I don't know what she really got clean.
Yeah.
I really had to like learn that over time as far as like, as she was a child. So I kind of just let the mother really kind of take care of it. Like I say, I really know what to do.
I didn't think about that.
But yeah, the Johnson, you know what I mean? Just make sure you're comfortable, blah blah. So that's probably that's something I take pride in. Like
I love
make
doing
sure you're
it.
good.
I love doing it, because I like the process of it, and I'm like holding them and everything, trying to keep them still. I actually like doing it. It's really cool. So,
So what about putting him to sleep? Have you developed like a habit of like this is how I put him to sleep?
You know what's crazy? He's a quiet baby. He's a very quiet baby. I think he got a lot of the characteristics definitely from me, for sure. Because if he got Dana's, he'd be crying all night. I promise you. He got a lot of his energy from me. He's very, like anybody that has met him already, very quiet baby. Like literally, the only time that he would cry is for it's literally only two things. He's either hungry or he needs his diaper changed. If he's fed and his diaper is changed, he does not cry at all. He does not cry through this. He does not cry through sleep. It's not hard putting him to sleep. Literally, after I'm done feeding him and his diaper is changed, that man will go to sleep. And he will sleep for like 3 hours too. And then sometimes 2, and then he'll wake back up. He'll cry again. You change it, he chilling. And if he's not asleep, he'll literally just sit there and just relax the entire time. We were blessed with a baby that does not cry because I've heard horror stories.
That is
like to where some people like, yo, this little girl don't stop crying. No matter what I do, change the diaper, fed him. I'm walking around with him. I'm doing. They just don't stop. I gave him the pacifier. Don't stop. Him, on the other hand, anybody that's met him will tell you, calmest baby in the world. So I'm blessed to have that because I know how that. I don't even want to know what the left side is to that, to where some people are like, yo, I didn't get that.
People got to remember crying is basically the only way they can communicate.
Yeah.
With my son, I can kind of, he got 3 cries. Either he's sleepy, he's gassy, or he's tired. So I can tell the difference between once he starts. So that's also something to really, really keep in mind. Babies, that's the only way they can communicate. You know what I mean? They don't really need that much. They might be loving and care. Yeah. That's all they really need.
One thing that he did get from Dana, though, that I noticed, since he's a very calm baby, right, and he don't cry, like how he probably cried, I can count on my hands how many times he cries a day. That's how many times, like it's literally very minimal. But when he does, it's like loud, like to the point where like neighbors should be concerned, like he's about to be like he's being tortured. Like it's that loud, like not like one of them. Like the cry, like it's like one of them extreme 3 times over cries, like, yo, we're doing something horribly wrong to you. Like he just fell on the floor, hit his head type cry. Like it's extreme. So that's why, like when he does cry, I gotta move fast because dude be like, he'll wake up the whole house that loud. So that's the only flip side to it. Since he don't cry, when he does, yeah, it's loud.
So I do want to ask you, once you did have Kingston, it kind of feels like for my Dragon Ball Z watchers, like you go a little Super Saiyan. You know what I mean? So what upgrade as a man did you feel like your son gave you?
I can honestly say I don't know yet. We would have to reiterate that convo. I don't know yet. I think that with him being a week, I mean, it would be nice to say that like something came to me immediately, and I'm like, damn, I don't know yet. Because I feel like, so here's the thing about it. I feel like there wasn't an upgrade that he gave me because I was already operating in purpose well before he came, right? So it wasn't like, you get to the place where sometimes as men, you wake up either after or you were already awake before. I felt like I was already awake before, and I was awaiting his presence because I was prepared for it. It's like waiting at the door, ready for when the mailman comes to drop off that package. not like when he rings the doorbell and hoping that you don't miss him. So you try to run downstairs and like, oh man, I missed the damn package. I'm like, I was waiting at the door. So for me, I had everything already prepared as much as I possibly could. Of course, it's obviously things you can't foresee. But for me, it was like, I'm operating in my purpose. I feel good about myself. You know, I feel like I found my skills and my qualities in the world. Like I found what the purpose in my world that I'm supposed to give. And I'm building upon those. So for me, it was like, I didn't like wake up afterwards. I think that as time goes on and we continue to have conversations like these, I think that I will start to find certain things that I have to become in order to continue to become a better dad, right? But as of right now, I won't necessarily say that like I woke up, because I feel like I was already woke. And I would just say that for even all men, like I would encourage you, if you don't have a child as of yet, there's no better time than to start preparing today. If you know that you're going to get to that place, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that comes with a few things. I mean, number one for me is to be very mindful of who you're having your child with. I think that plays a huge part in the wake up process, right? Because depending upon who you choose to have your child with, obviously you are going to wake up you're going to wake up real fast when that baby comes, because obviously the individual that you're with is not really that connection, you know, that's not there. So now you're like, yo, you got all other types of stuff on your mind at that point. Mm-hmm. For me, I was blessed enough to be able to find the woman that I plan to be with for the remainder of my lifetime. So that made the process way easier for me as far as not having to upgrade at that point, you know, or make any type of changes and adjustments because of somebody. And I'm like, damn, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then secondly, it was also too from, I also was already disciplining myself financially. Like I already was doing the simple things that I talked about, to where like, yo, are you invested in the stock market, right? You invested in the stock market? Do you have life insurance, right? Are you making plans for future generational wealth and financial freedom? Are you doing these things, these simple things that we talk about all the time? Even in our last podcast, I was already doing those things, right? Of course, I could do more. Anybody can do more. But like, am I doing those basic foundations and keeping it simple financially? I was doing that, right? So when you think about that, I didn't necessarily need to do an upgrade because of the fact that I was already doing the simple things that we talked about already beforehand. It's only when you're not doing any of those things at all, then now it's like you're in a high pressurized situation to like do it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of more what I say there. So I would just encourage all men, you know, if you don't have a child as of yet, and even if you do, I mean, it's never too late, whether it be before or after. I'm not saying that before is the holy grail of it all. Ideally, you know, it should be. Ideally, but obviously that's not always the case. We make bad decisions. But if you could, and you're watching this, I would encourage that you start getting yourself in order now before that day comes. So now you don't gotta get ready, because you already are ready. Makes things way easier for you. And more importantly, it allows it to be a more of an enjoyable experience too. Because you know how much more enjoyable it is when you've already been prepared and you're finally ready to receive the gift. That's kind of a message in itself. Like when you're ready to receive the blessing is way more enjoyable because you can pay attention to it. But when you aren't ready to receive the blessing and you got all these other things going on around you, it's like the blessing is right there and it's like, oh, I like it. I'm glad it was given to me, but damn, I'm stressed out all over the place. So you can't really appreciate it the way that you want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
There's limited time to it. Like and that's no way to be. So for me, I'm like in a full appreciation mode because it's like literally nothing else on my mind right now. That's like in a stressful situation where I'm like, damn, I can't really appreciate it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So to answer your question as of now, I wouldn't say so, but if we talk again in a month from now, who knows? That could be my answer could be totally different.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
A week old. I mean, I can't really tell you what's going to happen in a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So we tend to imitate our parents subconsciously. I've noticed that my daughter, like I said, she's approaching 13. We don't get to choose our children's soul, or we get to nurture it. with that being said, I've noticed as she grows up, she's taken some characteristics from me, some good, some bad. But I've also noticed where she's developing into. So she can draw very well, way better than I could ever draw in my life, especially at her age, and it just blows my mind. Is there something that you want your son, as far as imitation, that you want him to take from you, if it's just one simple quality of you, as far as when he grows up?
Great question. And I think to your point of what you said, like, you can nurture the soul. I'll be honest with you. I think that the main foundation that I would want him to take away from me is love. Simple. And I know that sounds like a cliche thing, but I'm going to keep it real. The foundation of everything is love, right? Because that's the closest thing to God. And for me, that's why, and I think that's the reason why I kiss my son so much, because I think that's really right now, since he can't really see or hear much, then that's the way that, like, he can feel love right now. So I'm already giving it to him very early, because I want him to grow to a certain age where, like, he has a lot of love in his heart. Somebody who has a lot of love in their heart, they're a much easier person to deal with, right? Because you don't got to force them to do much. It's like when you have love in your heart, you always do the right thing. When you have love in your heart, you always are going to operate with integrity. You're going to operate with excellence. You love yourself, so you're going to operate yourself in excellence, right? When somebody doesn't have love in their heart, they don't care for themselves or other people. So it's really not much that you can do, whether trying to teach them a skill or anything. They're not going to care too much about it. They don't love themselves enough. So it's like, if I can instill love, a lot of love into them, because that's what I have, right? I don't hate on nobody. I don't talk about nobody. I mind my business and I love. You get what I'm saying? It's all love here whenever you're around me. And that's what it is. I want to see everybody around me do better. And as much as I can give, then I can give, right? So same exact thing. But if I can teach them the foundations of love, nothing else at that point actually matters from there. He's just going to get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have met, like, people who have love in their heart, they just get it. You know, they get life. You don't got to force things upon them or try to beat it into their head. He just, like, you're going to get it. So that's my main thing. Love, 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 love. And I think, and I saw this on Twitter, another guy actually gave me some great advice on that. Around love. And it's crazy because that was a common theme that it was two common themes that I saw on Twitter when I asked a lot of fathers for advice. Was the first one was love, right? They say, yo, love, love, love. Like, and the second one was time. Like, that's the only thing that matters, because obviously they grow so fast and you want to make sure you see every single moment. But around the topic of love, he said, what you really want to do is, he said, I don't care if it's your baby moms, I don't care, like, or your wife, whomever it may be. What you do is you love her so strongly while he's watching, because that's going to show him how to love other people by how you love the woman that birthed them. You know what I'm saying? And by doing that, you already are setting the foundationing example of what love looks like. You showing love to him, but when he sees you loving something else, now he imitates that action of, oh, okay, so that's how you love other people, and that's how you loving my mom. Damn, I should do the same exact thing when it comes to other people like that too. So that's my main thing, love, man.
What would you want him to take from his mother?
I would want him to take raw truth away from his mom, Dana. I think that she's one of those people that she's one of those people where, like, she really tells it like it is. She's not going to sugarcoat anything from you. She really cares enough to be able to actually have a conversation with you. I'll be honest, me personally, he ain't getting that from me, because me, I don't feel like I'm a man of very few words, so I'm not about to be sitting here explaining nothing to anybody. It's just, unless I really, again, if I love you that much and I know that it could harm you, then since I operate out of love, I'm gonna say it. But I'm not going out of my way to explain things. Dana, on the other hand, she'll go out of her way to explain things. She'll be raw and honest with you if you ask her, or even if you don't ask her. If she sees something not right around her, we all know she's the type of person that'll correct it and say, hey, here's what we doing. Here's how it needs to be done. Look, when you did that wasn't right. And she says it like it is, super raw. And that's why people love her. That's why I love her, because I love people who are raw, who are honest, and they're not holding anything back from you. And I want him to take that other characteristic of that raw, honest truth. Like, if you ever asked him something, he's going to tell you exactly what it is, regardless of if you like it or not. He's going to be like, yo, it is what it is.
And it's
like,
going to be out of love.
It's out of love, Like, you asked me and I'm going to tell you. So I think that characteristic, she has a lot of that. Me, I wouldn't necessarily say I have a lot of it. It's not that I'm not raw and honest. It's that I don't care to go out of my way to do it, right? Unless you're somebody that I truly love. She goes out of her way and does it, all the time. And I think it's massively inspiring. Massively inspiring.
Okay, well, is there any other advice that you would like to give any fathers out there that may be listening or having a newborn son?
I do want to share something though. I think I really do, and this is not even for fathers, but just in general about the experience that I went through. There's a lot of, especially in the hospital, there's a lot of emphasis around the mother and not the father. That was the first time actually me like really seeing that. It's a ton of emphasis on it. Like I would even tell you like it's like a 95-5.
Yeah.
Like to where like the man really doesn't even exist like much in the hospital. Personally, when I went through that experience, like I was a little upset, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is there were like certain things that I saw. One of the first things was, you'll notice I pay attention to people's I pay attention to people's eyesight, like what they pay attention to. A lot of the attention was like when conversations were even being had about the baby, 95% of the energy was looking at her, and they glanced at me as if like, okay, you're here, but if whatever she say is how it's going to go. And it's like, even regardless of us being married and being partners, having this baby together, me being here inside of the room, it wasn't necessarily a level of respect for it at all. It was like my say didn't actually even mean anything, to be honest with you. That was the first thing that I experienced that I was like, that was kind of crazy, right? And I saw it on like multiple occasions too, like to where like the dad is like kind of being like, you're like, what's the word for it? Like we tolerate you basically. But the mom is actually the one that's here that makes all the decisions. And it's funny because even and there's no shot at this, but I'm just telling you, even when a pediatrician came and I had originally rejected the vaccine of the hepatitis B, even when I told the pediatrician specifically, no, he's not getting it, they started having a conversation. Lie to you not. Had a conversation, and the pediatrician asked the nurse, hey, can the dad actually sign off on the paperwork if they're rejecting the hepatitis B? Is there a problem there with that? And I was confused because I'm like, how could there be a problem with me signing off on the information that I'm rejecting the hepatitis B? They're like, nah, I don't like, or can only the mom sign it? Is there any issue with the dad? Like, so it was like literally a conversation being had right in front of me about the fact that they didn't know, were they aware, or they may not have been comfortable enough with me signing the paperwork. So the pediatrician went over to my wife and Dana and actually asked her, I want to get clarification that you're cool with the fact of that this is being rejected. And she said whatever he just said, but they literally did not do whatever I just said. It was always like I got to run it through her first, and you're like the secondary to this. And that part to me was the part that was just kind of concerning to me, and I didn't really like that too much. I didn't really like that too much. I don't know why. Like, and I get it. I mean, I get that sometimes, of course, obviously sometimes moms are there by themselves and there's not a man that's in the room in all of them different scenarios. And I also understand that the mom is the one that's giving birth, but at the same time, it's like, I think that there should indeed be some type of protocol around the fact that if you got a married couple that comes in and they're together and they're clearly partners in this thing, it's like, don't try to shade the dad when it's like he's actually here and he's actually supportive and he's in this. Don't try to treat him like others that are not,
Yeah.
Like I deserve a level of respect. Like, don't treat me like one of the dads that's like not going to be in my child's life. You know, don't treat me like them. I'm actually here. I'm present. I'm active. Like, yo, we have a say in this too. Like, so that was kind of crazy to me when I saw that, and I was like, yo, that's kind of shady. So I had to say that because I just, you know, for a lot of men, when y'all see that, you know, don't be alarmed because that could happen, but just be mindful though. Even down to the point of like, damn, I didn't get a bed either. That's beside the fact, but you see how all of those things begin to add up. Like, damn, my say doesn't matter. I damn near didn't even really get a bed like that for real. So everything is catered around
the woman.
Yeah, the mother, and it's like I'm not being taken into account. So it was like, cool, but I think that we deserve a certain level of respect. I'm not saying that we deserve the same level of respect as a woman who going through contractions for hours and dilated 10 centimeters, had to carry this baby for 10 months. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form am I saying that we need to be on that same level, but at the same time, some level of respect. Like if I'm an active father, like some level of respect, like my say-so also matters too. We're in this collectively together, and that was kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I'll probably say I would definitely agree. I don't, like I said, I really don't recall me being 17, but when my son was born, his mother was about to get epidural. She couldn't take the pain, so she's like, yeah, let me get epidural. I said, okay, we'll give you the epidural. But it was like, but dad gotta leave the room because sometimes dads can faint while you're getting the shot. I was just confused. I'm like, yo, I'm 6'5". I'm not fainting nowhere. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, like you're tripping. Yeah. You're tripping.
And she was like, yeah, absolutely not. He's going to stay here if I get the epidural. Like if that's your reason that I have to leave the room because I might faint, but yet I can sit in here for the birth, I just didn't agree with
weird.
it. Yeah, even with the meals. Y'all got to be careful of the meals because they don't give fathers the meals. The meals are usually just for the mother.
I had to pay for my joint.
Oh, you did?
I had to pay for my joint. I get it because of insurance and all that. Insurance is on the mom. I get that part. But when you look at it collectively, though, as a whole,
yeah,
right? It's like we're really shaded in the hospital when it comes to dads, especially for us as active dads. Like, don't shade me. Like, I'm actually here, responsible, and then you're not going to take me into account in any way, shape, or form. But it's like, damn, why the hell was I even here then? You get what I'm saying? Like,
true.
Even down to the point where, like, off topic, but it was even the subtleness. And it's funny, I said this to the nurse. I said, even down to the subtleness of the fact that when I walked inside of our postpartum room, you know, Dana's name was really big on the board, right? And then I was like mad small at the bottom where it said supporter, Donnell. Like, it didn't say dad. It was like mom, Dana, support, Don. I'm like, hold on, why I get the support? I'm the dad. Why would you put support there for? But it was like another psychological thing where I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, even I don't care about my name being small. You ain't gonna put dad or father there. You gonna put support. So it was like, cool. But I didn't really like that.
I really think that's something that probably gotta look forward to changing in the system. Just because even after the moms have their birth, they don't want to sign no paperwork. They don't want to answer no questions. They just want to rest. Like,
yeah.
If I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't like that, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And I said that when we talked about this, I was going to announce that because it's like there's definitely 1,000% needs to be some type of change there. I didn't appreciate that or like that at all in any way, shape, or form. I didn't think that was okay. You know, and that was one of the reasons why I was like, yo, I'm trying to get up out of the hospital now. I don't like the vibe. I don't like the vibe. I don't even like hospitals too much like that anyway, with doctors and everything personally. So then when that happened, it was kind of one of those other things. And then on top of that, when I said that I was rejecting the actual vaccine, then it went into another conversation about going into this whole thing about how I'm putting my son at risk and all this. Like, yo, I don't got time to be, like, first of all, my child, if I say that something is the way it is, then that's how it is, you know? And it's like, again, I didn't want to go through that. We were originally going to do a home birth for that exact reason because we wanted to be at home. We wanted to be comfortable. You know, we didn't want to have to go through all of the rigmaroles and all the questions and all these different things. And it's like, yo, I don't got time for that. So we were originally going to do a home birth, but it ended up being canceled because we booked it too late. And since everybody got pregnant around the same time, every single midwife was booked, like, all the way up to, like, March. So, like, they were like, we tried to get one, but she was like, yo, I just can't take you. Like, I got, like, 8 babies to deliver around that same, like, week. can't do it. So we had to go to the hospital and we didn't really want to for that reason. So.
Yeah, well, I hope this episode helped out a lot of fathers or men that want to become fathers. I think we kind of touched on every little aspect of from that emergency room all the way until actually leaving home. Trust me, you want to take the advice, you want to listen, and you're going to use it. I promise you. But you want to close up?
Sure.
Close
and
out,
I just
Don?
ended off by saying, like, for all of the brothers, for those of you that are leading into having children, man, like, I'd like to heed this advice. Please make sure that you get yourself prepared beforehand. Don't have this awakening after your baby is born and expect for them to like motivate you and you're now about to run through a brick wall. No, like you should already have that type of momentum and that type of feeling for yourself, right? You should have that type of self-love for you. The only way you can deliver that type of love to your child is to deliver that to yourself first. So don't wait until your kid get here to finally wake up and say, no, I got to do these things. Nah, how about we do the simple things and focus on that right now, right? Focus on getting your life in order right now. Focus on finding the right woman that you plan to have children with right now so that now the next 18 years of your life is not on some like craziness, not even 18 years, your entire life now, because that connection is there forever. Focus on that. Focus on your finances and doing the simple things that we talked about in recent podcasts, and make sure you're invested in a stock market index fund if you haven't. Get yourself some life insurance already ahead of time, right? Like get your retirement account set up if you don't have one. Like do the basic things, simple things now. Don't wait until later and now you're running around. Because like I said again, you don't want to receive the blessing, but then you're so discombobulated that you can't appreciate it, right? You want to be able to make sure you're fully prepared and that you're waiting at the door. And you like, I'm not racing to the door. I'm waiting at the door.
Yeah, like you ain't gotta make room for it.
That's like I don't gotta make a run for it. I'm waiting at the door and I'm patiently waiting for when my child comes. And I promise you, man, that's gonna make this way more enjoyable for you. You know, and with that said, man, I think we should continue to do this. And we throw in some podcasts throughout there where we just talking about the experience of like, because both of our sons are around like 5 months apart. So a lot of these things are not going to be too far. Like I think once they hit like a certain age, it's not really going to be much of a difference at that point. But I think that for a lot of men watching this, we should definitely be, updating them and like some new things. What are some of the things we doing and everything? Yeah. I think that'll be cool. We both have newborns right now. And,
true. And I really need some help on a teenage daughter. I'm telling you, it didn't like it came like my little sweet baby to like this raving teenager that just like
I can't help you there, Jack. I can't help you there. So brothers, if y'all got any advice for Van for teenage daughter, please flood his DM, Ron Vann Dam. Send him some DMs. Or shoot me some DMs if you do. And let's get some advice in here. But with that said, we out of here. As you already know, it's Prince Donnell. And I'm here, my right-hand man with the cam.
Ron Vann Dam.
And the $1 Million Life Lessons, where we drop $1 Million gems each episode, and it's your job to pick them up. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Jumping jacks, tax, got my taxes jumping, now my bag coming with that major money, dripping blessings. Just might buy a house for my mama, bad credit. Don't even sweat it, cause they'll repair it, ain't no question. They can do it, it's a major movement.